You too! Welcome back to the channel. My biggest regret when I first started creating is this: letting my fear of failure dictate or control what I did or how I perceived myself along the journey. Let me explain. Of course, when you put yourself out there on the internet, for example, on YouTube, there's going to be this notion of, how are people going to perceive me? Is this even going to work out? Am I going to fail? And I checked all of those boxes in terms of the stuff I worried about. And I still do, Yes, my videos get like 3 views. They're not the most properly edited. My account, I only have 62 subscribers at this moment. It isn't where I want it to be, but I still have those fears. What happens if this is all just a waste of time? What if me growing my YouTube channel with the intent of getting monetized doesn't even work out? What happens if someone finds my YouTube channel that may know me IRL and thinks my whole life is a joke? That would make 2 of us. But why do I still do it? Why do I label this fear as a regret starting out? And why do I still continue to pursue this ambition or this goal that I have set for myself even today, at this moment, right now, through this video? Let me explain. So currently I'm 28, unemployed, single, live at home, have been completely cooked by the job market, recently graduated with my computer science degree, cannot find a job, have gone through thousands. And when I say thousands, I probably mean between like 1,500 to 2,000 applications since probably August of last year of 2024, and have gotten several interviews, have reached the final interview, got through certain stages, still no luck. I guess people just don't like me, is what I would tell myself back then, but now it's just like maybe just not a proper fit. But that's regardless of the point. The reason I would be lying if I didn't say that I was creating content on YouTube if it wasn't for the money. If I didn't want to monetize, if I didn't want to build a brand for myself, if I wasn't looking for sponsorship deals, brand deals, ways to put my name out there and move on to different platforms maybe, who knows, right? But I think in order for me to get to where I want to be, and obviously this isn't like the whole purpose of me creating content on YouTube, right? I don't want to make it seem like I'm all about the money, right? Which I would be lying if I said I wasn't, but there are definitely more aspects to my pursuit of this YouTube thing, aside from the money. But I think my initial fear of failure is something that I regret in the very beginning. I think it made me put off creating content, or especially videos like this, for the longest time, because it not necessarily was like the way people would perceive me, because I think I'm kind of over that. I think it's more so just, what happens if I fail? What happens if I have this grandiose idea and I give it my all and it doesn't even work out? And then it's like all of that time wasted, all of that energy wasted, the feeling of this is going to work out wasted. But I also learned too that if you don't quit, you never lose. So what happens if I never quit? But that's besides the point. It's that initial fear of failure that has held me back from a lot of things. If you were to ask me when I was younger, pursuing sports, for example, it's always been a dream of mine to play basketball. And I never did because I didn't even go through the first tryout or finish the first tryout because I was just so afraid, or I had this inclination in my head that I was already going to fail without even finishing it. I think there are times where it's like, especially in my dating life, where I wouldn't even approach someone because I knew I would automatically get rejected. That was the old me, right? But now my mindset is a little bit different, but it's like, I already know that things aren't going to work out for me, so why even try? And I think that's the biggest mistake you could have in your life, especially, I think that's the biggest mistake you can have in your life, because it holds you back unnecessarily from things that are probably meant for you, but you don't pursue them or you don't go after them because you're just so afraid of failing. Let me ask you this. How many dreams of yours or how many ambitions of yours have died simply because of the fact that you were unwilling to pursue them based off your fear of failing? You saw the task as being too much or too grandiose for you, to the point where it's like you don't even try it, right? And the reason I bring this forward is because it's something that I deal with even today. There are certain things that, here, I'll talk about this. When I apply for certain companies, I'll be a little hesitant to apply to, let's say, a big name company because of my background. I automatically have this feeling that I won't get accepted. So I'll apply to a lesser known company, and I still won't even get in. So I don't even know what the point is. But I'm trying to figure out now, where does that even stem from, right? This whole fear of failure. Now I'm going to go take a little psychology route But I think this whole fear of failure stems from my personal upbringing. I think, wow, this is getting deep. You grow up in this scarcity mindset. Coming from immigrant parents, that's a common thing, I'd imagine. I don't want to speak for others, but it's kind of like, I'm not saying there's any trauma involved, but there's definitely this sense of, I don't know, I don't want to get too much into it. But I think that's maybe in the comments, if you can relate or put what I'm trying to say into words better than I can right now, let me know in the comments. But maybe it's just something that I grew up with, this inadequacy. Well, even though I look back now, and I could have definitely done a lot of things that I put off because of this fear of failure. And it's just this whole perception of regret now, where it's like, I wish when I was younger I did this. Or I wish when I was younger I applied to this. Or I wish when I was younger I just pursued this instead of doing this. And you really feel the repercussions of those actions later down the road. I'm 28 and there are many decisions where I wish I made differently when I was in my early 20s. Who knows where my life would look? Who knows what my life will look like right now? But now moving on, right? I don't think that you can blame yourself for who you were in the past. Of course, there are levels to it, right? With proper precaution, don't do anything bad. But I think the mistakes that you made in the past, I think if you blame yourself for them, right? And of course, they vary depending on how bad they are. But I think there are learning moments. And of course, if the people that, for example, me, right? The people that I've hurt in the past, I think, were based on an older version of me and was a result, and as a result, helped me become the person I am today. The mistakes you make in the past, you wouldn't learn from them unless you made them. So then why even have this fear of failure to begin with? I think maybe it's just my opinion, right? This whole fear of failure thing is because of this societal timeline that we have against others. People that don't even care about us, right? So I saw this funny video, or this funny quote of this guy saying on this video where he's like, I was so afraid to make YouTube videos because I'm afraid of how people from high school are going to perceive me, even though they don't even know who I am. I'm so afraid to make YouTube videos because I'm so afraid of how people from high school are going to perceive me, even though they're not thinking about me. I just thought that was funny and in a way relatable to what this whole video topic is. But man, a lot of regret. But I think that regret really pushes me forward now, especially at my age of 28, where, man, don't live the rest of your life like that. Just because you made that mistake in your past. Of course, it varies, right? Like, don't do anything bad, right? But the mistakes you made in the past, you're not perfect. You're a human. And I think the mistakes you made in the past or the people that you may have hurt in the past will help you learn to not make those mistakes again. Yes, the cost you may have to pay to make up for your mistakes may not even be valid, but you learn from them. And I think if you take that perspective of within reason, right? The mistakes you make are going to help push you forward, then you should not have a fear of failure. And I think if you're basing your life on society's timeline, then you're doing yourself a disservice, because I believe that you have a lot of potential in you. I believe that in a world that tries to tie you down or put you in a box, you have the ability to make something great. But it's up to you to fully harness that ability and take full advantage of the opportunities given to you when they arrive, because they're not always going to be there. But if you stay persistent, if you stay hungry, if you continue moving forward, opportunities will come. The question is, will you be ready? So if you're going through a difficult time right now, just realize that the sun always rises. If you made a mistake in the past, or you feel like a failure, or there are things that you wish, that you regret, that you should have done in the past, but you didn't, understand them for what they are and accept them. I think the next part would be to forgive yourself and to move forward and to not make that mistake again. Because if you make that mistake again, then you'll never learn. And I think the greatest joy of human existence is the ability to grow and is the ability to learn. If we're not growing, we're dying. I also think this whole fear of failure thing is, for me, for example, right? The ideal life for me would be one where it's like everything I did just ran smoothly. There were no hiccups on the way. There was no bumps in the road. It was just like a smooth path. But I think when you take in consideration like the fear of failure, I think sometimes if you have that fear, then you won't take the path that provides you the greatest return or the greatest potential, because you'll see how hard it is to get there. you'll see the failures and it'll turn you off because you'd much rather have a life that's smooth. And the reason I speak on this is because that's what I want, a smooth life. So when I speak on this topic, it's just more like so I'm speaking to myself. Because it's tough. Imagine working towards something, right? For like a good year or two, or maybe years, right? 5 years, 10 years. And then it doesn't even work out. And you have to start over. Where everyone else has compounded their efforts to a point where they're just growing monumentally. And here you are, you have this great idea and you pursue it and you give it your all day in and day out and you make the sacrifices and it doesn't even work out. Everything is wiped off, clean slate, and you have to start over. What do you do? That's kind of like my whole perception of this whole fear of failure thing. What if I do something and give it my all and it fails? I think with that, right, and I'm just answering my own question right now, it's how well do you plan and how well do you prepare? Do you set yourself up in a way where if something doesn't work out for you, you have a maneuver? Are you building towards a grand plan or is it very just narrow-minded? I think failure is bound to come, but I think if you plan for it properly, then you're able to strategically find a way out. I think this ties back into like just the whole concept of continual learning, right? For example, if I didn't bring up this topic or even deep dive into it, because I don't journal, so this is my form of journaling. But if I didn't bring up this topic, would I even consider or would I even be aware of this topic? Would I even be aware of the stuff I'm talking about right now? Probably not. It's crazy because sometimes I feel like the fear of failure is probably a good thing. I think it's a good motivator. I think it provides stress, of course, but it's the type of stress that moves you forward. Just right? It's like stress turns rocks into diamonds, or stress creates diamonds, or something like that. Because in your 20s you grind, and in your 30s you build, and in your 40s you chill, is a common thing I always hear. So in my 20s, I was just working these random jobs to like, get money, right? And it's like, funny because I probably switched careers like 3 times. And I wouldn't even call it careers. It was just like I just switched jobs 3 times, right? And the funny thing is I wasn't really working towards something. The allure of money is sometimes deceiving because you work towards it, but are you really working towards something? Now my mindset is definitely, I think, a lot more long-term. What can I build that will sustain my life long-term? And it's kind of frustrating because I wish I started earlier. I kind of wish I had these realizations earlier. But like I said, you can't really go back in time and fix things. You can only realize the realizations that you made and move forward. Man, I feel like as long as you don't quit, you never lose. I really do believe that. Right now, like I said, 62 subs on YouTube, terrible watch times on my videos. No one watches my videos. But imagine if I don't quit. Imagine if I just stay persistent with this whole YouTube thing. 10 years down the line, what will happen? Because the time's going to pass anyway. That's something I like to tell myself. The time is going to pass anyway. So why not make the most of your day? And when I say make the most of your day, I don't think it's unnecessarily grinding for things. Imagine working a job because, of course, we all need money to survive. But what I'm trying to say is you're working a job just for the money, if that makes sense, versus working a job to build your career. Like I said, we all need money to survive, but my point being is you're working for that next paycheck or you're working for that immediate gratification, if you want to put it like that, versus working towards a career, like progressively getting better over time. Because when I was younger, I used to work these jobs just to make like $1. And it wasn't really towards anything. It was just to make money. Looking back, I'd probably say like just focus on like a career. Focus on something that you could build long term. I could think about what my YouTube channel will look like in 10 years if I don't quit. Hopefully I'll have 1,000 subs by then. Hopefully I'll be monetized by then. And I'm kind of curious too what my life will look like in 10 years too. I talk about a lot about where I am currently in life, but I kind of wonder what the future holds for me. I was definitely in a lot darker place prior, working at my old job that I considered paid well. Not because of the people I worked with, but just the actual job itself. It was just like mentally, it was just kind of. But the only reason I was working there was for the money. But now that I would always tell myself, if I find a reason, because I knew it wasn't long term, right? And like I said, I was just doing it for the money. But the moment I figured out what I wanted to do with my life, I would pursue it. Once I figured out what type of career I wanted to do long term, I would pursue it. At first, I thought it was like tech, software engineering or something. So I got my computer science degree. But then all these layoffs and AI taking over. I still apply, but we'll see where things go. But mentally, I feel like I'm in a better place. I feel like my focus now is a lot more growth. thinking in terms of decades instead of the day. I think that's a big shift I've noticed about myself. I don't really think about the days anymore. I just think about like decades. And I use the habits and my daily tasks of what I do in the day to make sure that they compound into the future that I want. Anything else is kind of just like a side quest. Am I maturing? Is this a sign of maturity? My advice for you is, if you have this fear of failure, would be to first understand why you have it. Acknowledge the fact that you have it to begin with, but then after that, try your best to understand why you have that fear. Is it because of how people are going to perceive you? Is it because of societal expectations? Is it because of this? Is it because of that? And I would challenge you to bet on yourself. I would challenge you to, despite what people have to say, to bet on yourself, to choose you above all, and hold yourself accountable to achieve the life that you actually want. Because life is short. You only get one life, but if you do it right, one life is all you need. And I think the worst thing that you could do in your life, well, not the worst thing, but one of the most regretful things you could probably do in your life is live your life for others. Not to be greedy, right? But you have so much potential. You have so much to experience in this world. You have so much to offer. You have so much value to give. And just because you haven't found your success yet doesn't mean it's not waiting for you on the other side of whatever it is you're going through. Just because you haven't reached where others are yet doesn't mean it's not going to happen for you. Just not your time yet. But when your time comes, you need to make sure that you're ready. I should be a motivational speaker. That got me fired up a little bit. No, I'm just kidding. But a lot of the stuff I say is somewhat true. It's something that I truly believe in. Sometimes I feel like I ask myself, why hasn't it happened for me yet? I've been putting so much work in on a daily basis, a lot of sacrifice. Logically, maybe because I've been working on the wrong things. But metaphysically, I question, why hasn't it happened yet? When there are others like my age who are getting married, who have successful careers, who have their own place, and there's me. Maybe it's just not my time yet. Maybe I've been given an opportunity to really figure out what it is that I need to work on, and the opportunity to work on it. Maybe this is just God's way of giving me what I want through making me work for it. But whatever the reason is, I think I've learned to trust the process. I think I've learned to really enjoy where I am, don't take any moment for granted, but to really enjoy the process. Because when I do make it, I'm going to reflect and look back at the tough times and how the tough times really made me who I am today. Some people talk about their competitive edge. Maybe my competitive edge was just simply like waking up today. Maybe your competitive edge is doing the things that you said you would do on a day in, day out basis, consistently, being accountable to yourself. But if you made it this far to the video, I just want to thank you. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It would help the channel get one step closer to monetization. It would help me reinvest back into the company, back into the business, help the channel grow, help provide more value. With that being said, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will be seeing you next video. Peace.